Last week I made this rough looking tool and shared some blueprints along with a list of materials and components so you could build an even better one for yourself. Now it's time to put it into use and prepare the wavy strips for my first official hammering session, a technique called Vybijanie dreva or wood inlay hammering. The first thing we need to do is to sharpen the brass sheet. I'm using a 0.2 mm thick brass sheet and sharpening it on this jig, which is basically a modified version of the cheapest knife sharpener you can buy. You have to make sure you pass both sides through and don't crush the end of the sheet against anything while doing it. Just use steady swipes like you are swiping a credit card. At this stage, keep in mind that this is still a knife sharpener. If it can sharpen a knife, it can definitely sharpen this sheet to cut something. If you don't wear gloves, those would be your fingers, so wear gloves. I sharpen both sides of the sheet so I can cut two strips right after. It's best to cut the strips about 2 mm wide. If you look closely at how stupidly I'm holding the scissors and the metal, you will see why the first few strips weren't very good. So this was actually the first one I cut, and it didn't look like it would work at all. It was too wide, inconsistent and crooked. Here is the right way to hold it, so I can actually see what I'm doing and correct the width of the strip I'm cutting. This was the first I've cut, and it seems to me that it's too wide and uneven, wobbly. These are, I guess, better. It looks better, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if it will be any good, but the width looks good to me, I guess. And I'm doing it in such a way right now that I'm trying to align the edge of the sheet metal with this shiny facet on the scissors and go along the outer edge. That way, at the beginning, I'm starting with the width that I think is good, at least theoretically, but everything will be seen after I start hammering it into the wood. I considered gluing a plate or a piece of sheet metal to this side to act as a guide and help maintain a constant width. However, I'm skipping that for now because I'm afraid the sharp edge on this side might get dull. If that happened, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to sharpen it again. I will just eyeball it and see how it goes. Now that some of these strips are done, it's time to bend them into waves. I prefer these smaller gears with a 0.5 module, but I will make a few with module 1 just to have something to experiment with. I feed the strip into the gear so that the sharpened edge faces outward. At this angle, it's toward the left. If I put the strip in slightly off center, I could easily hit the base plate and dull the edge. That's another thing to keep in mind. Try to feed the strip as straight as possible. Don't let it shift or tilt, or you will regret it later. Tilted strips end up wobbly and twisted. I actually enjoy this process, so I will leave it here uncut and at original speed. Time to prepare the wood. This is a walnut plank I bought few years ago, and it's finally time to use it. I will cut it into few rectangles with a Japanese saw. I figured I would try some circles, so I cut a few using a drill press. I wouldn't call this technique perfectly safe, but I'm aware of the risks. To be clear, always wear protective gear, always secure your work to a firm surface, don't hold it with your bare hands, and don't take unnecessary risks. Don't take what you see here as the right method, because I'm just reckless sometimes. A bit of sanding with 80, 150 and 220 grit, and I can finally start what I came here to do. And man, this is a struggle. I'm surprised by how hard it is. The strip feels alive, it wants to fight you. Also, a big piece of advice: use something rigid and sturdy. I was using a granite block, but the stump I'm working on isn't flat enough, so the granite was dancing around. If your surface isn't solid, the strip just won't go in. It kicks back and it's a total nightmare. You can really improve your result by using a solid base and you will feel the difference. I felt like I was chasing snakes here. As you can see, I don't really know what I'm doing now. Another tip is to use what I would call a dead blow. The initial strike should be hard. Don't do what I'm doing here. I'm taping it 1,000 times with no real progress. Don't try to force it all the way down at first. Just one sure hit to set it, and then work your way along. Try to keep the strip as perpendicular to the surface as possible. If it tilts, it will bend and you will have a hard time. After a few hours of struggling, swearing, and questioning my life choices, I managed to get something done. But as you can see, if you don't hit it hard enough at the start, the strip won't just stay put. For spirals or sharp curves, it's better to pre-shape them. At least give them some initial curvature so they are easier to manage. This is the result of the first session. It's not too much, but I would say not great, not terrible. It's a first step, it's not easy, but once you get the hang of it, it's really satisfying. After a few successful hits, you actually start enjoying it. I think the walnut and brass combo looks great, so I will try something bigger in the next session. If you want to try this technique yourself, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I'm just starting out, but I'm happy to help however I can.